Going on, guys, and welcome back to Footy with an Edge. We're here again to talk about what is, let's say, compared to the rest of the league, a decent goalkeeper performance. But for United, who has been so starved of just the standard, Lammens was looking like Peter Schmeichel reincarnate. And listen, I know it's a little tongue in cheek to say that, but we haven't had a keeper who can reliably come and claim crosses. We haven't had a keeper who can have a presence in the box. We also haven't had a keeper that can just just give us some assurance that he's not going to score today. In fact, we've had two keepers that have given us assurances that no matter how many goals we score, we're going to concede. My mind goes back to the Bayern Munich game in the Champions League. I think this was 2 seasons ago now, in Ten Hag's second season, where essentially we just, no matter how many goals we scored, we just kept giving goals away. And comparing that to what Lammens gave us in one game is assuredness, because even in the Burnley game, right, we went up. Sorry, we scored 2 goals, but we also conceded 2 goals very easily. Go back to the Grimsby game this season. We did the same thing where we went down 2-0 by conceding 2 easy goals, and it felt like we could have conceded a lot more. In fact, we did concede a third that wasn't offside, but it was given offside, so we got lucky with that one. And we've been on this Sisyphus type cycle where we feel like we're just about to get over the hill with this massive boulder that we're trying to push, but every time we do that, the goalkeeper lets us down, and we're back to square one. And this is a bigger problem than most people appreciate, in my opinion, because we have 10 outfield players that, each given week, based on the quality of our squad, we'll be lucky if we have 5 or 6 good performances. Now, those same 5 or 6 players may not be performing well the next week and the week after that. So when they do perform well, it's very important for us that the goalkeeper is also having a good game and he doesn't make silly mistakes to give a goal away. Because if all the pieces don't come together at the same time, we have a situation where the players feel like they gave absolutely everything and we've still lost the game. So that's very demoralizing and destabilizing for a team. And that is the effect that Andre Onana had on this team for 2 years. And since we have kind of decided that we don't want to play with him, Bayern has done the same thing. And I just feel like we kind of have nowhere to go. But thanks to Lommans, even though it's just one game, he's given us some hope of, okay, this guy can keep his head calm. He looks like a calm person. He has a good presence, and he can actually give us something we've been starving of since David De Gea left. So I don't know if he's Schmeichel reincarnate, um, whether that's Peter Schmeichel or Casper Schmeichel. Honestly, I'll take either one. And I feel like it's exciting to see a goalkeeper that can actually do the simple things right. So let's take a look at some of his stats. He had 3 saves. He faced 0.94 in post shot expected goals. And those were the shot locations that he saved from, right? So this was the shot from Xhaka. Again, it's a 0.02 xG because it was a long shot, but the post shot expected goals is a little bit higher, and it was a really good shot. I mean, maybe he was hitting the post, but it was definitely on the inside of the post, so he needed to, mark, know where he is and know where his post is very well and make a quick reaction save. That was, coming in like a laser. So that was a good save. Then he had the header that he saved in the 33rd minute, again, which is 0.64 post shot expected goals. So, fairly difficult save to make. And then in the 90th minute, the most impressive save he made, which was, you could say straight at him, but let's be honest. We know Binder or Onana are letting that go through their legs, and we don't keep the clean sheet. But in the 90th minute, when Our defense was kind of split open, and that was a relatively easy chance for Burnley. He made himself big, and he made the save. So this is the kind of stuff that we're looking for from our goalkeeper. But I would say the more impressive thing was he looked good with both his feet. He attempted 44 passes in total, and 38 of them were long passes. So this was clearly a tactic from Amram to say, not only are we going to bypass the press by kicking it long, but we're actually going to use it to our advantage. So the 11 long balls that were actually accurate, um, worked in our favor in a sense because Sheshko was the target for most of them. And yes, he ended up losing a lot of duels, but at the end of the day, this tactic could be successful once or twice a game, and that gives us 2 goals, right? So essentially, that's all we're looking for. And then he had 2 high claims, which again got the loudest roar of the night from the Old Trafford fans. He didn't have any punches. He threw it twice, and he had 11 recoveries with 52 touches. So honestly, a great solid first performance from Lammens. He also had man of the match according to FOTMob, which again, in my opinion, should have been Mount. But I think when you play over 90 minutes and you're adding up all the statistics, that maybe that makes sense. Cool. So what do some of you guys think? What did you guys think of Lammens' performance in this game? Let me just put out a poll here. Give me a second. All right, looks like we have somebody waiting in the waiting room, so let's bring them in. Hey Finn, you're live on Footy with an Edge. Go on, give us your thoughts.
On the game or just on Lammens?
Whatever you want to talk about, but let's do let's talk about Lammens first, if you can.
Well, it didn't blow my mind exactly, but like all we've been asking for is a goalkeeper that can just do the fucking basics.
Mm-hmm.
And for 2 years, we've had not one but 2 goalkeepers who are completely incapable of it, who can't really shot stop, who are not particularly great at distribution, and who just bring this nervous energy to the team and to the defense. And Lammens is just it's just a breath of fresh air, really. Like
Mm-hmm.
to have that sort of normal performance without any drama. I'm struggling to remember the last time that happened.
Yeah. Well, would
When
you
They
say?
didn't let a fucking ball
Yeah, yeah,
through his hands, or like Nana didn't do something fucking stupid.
yeah.
Just
I
a normal performance. Just catch the balls you're supposed to catch, and that's pretty much it. Like maybe he's not the next Schmeichel, but
mm. I will say this though, for those of you that are watching, let me know your thoughts on this in the chat as well. I actually feel like we haven't even seen this from the later stages of De Gea really, because if you guys remember, there was a lot of pressure on De Gea to pass out from the back, and he would quite often just look nervous in the passing areas of the game and just either kick it long or just kick it into the stands. And he wasn't really looking assured when he was doing that either. Whereas
no, he
Lawman's
couldn't
yesterday,
really.
yeah, Lawman's yesterday seemed like he was, let's say, he was giving us the assuredness of De Gea in the net in terms of the saves, but also in terms of passing, he didn't seem, when he took his first touch out of his feet, when he was trying to find the players that he wanted to find, he looked very assured. So actually, that's a good point, Finn, that he did the basics right, but I feel like it's also longer than just Onana and Binder that we haven't seen all the basics being done properly.
Yeah, I would agree with that. He just seemed comfortable, really.
Yeah.
And when your goalkeeper's comfortable, and when the defenders can trust him, that kind of permeates throughout the rest of the team, I feel.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. The defense
And
becomes a bit more comfortable as well, and God knows we need that for our defenders.
we've lacked that confidence in a lot of our games. We very often, even when we go a goal up or 2 goals up, we still feel nervous, like we can lose this game because we basically don't have a goalkeeper, and anything, like any shot that goes against us can go in. And with Lammens, you don't. I didn't really feel that. Obviously, it's just one game, but
Yeah. Any other
like it was
thoughts you wanna discuss about the game?
plenty. I thought probably one of our best performances under Amarim,
Yep.
at least in the Premier League.
I'd agree with
It was
that.
probably the first game I felt like we controlled. Like we dropped off in the second half, but I didn't feel like Sunderland were going to score. Like even against Burnley, when we dropped off in the second half, similarly, it was kind of a different story. Like I felt like that game against Burnley could have easily slipped away at any moment, and I don't think I ever felt that in the Sunderland game.
Yeah. I think what's interesting is people are I've seen some people online talk about how it was disappointing that we didn't do anything in the second half.
We didn't need
Guys,
to.
do you, yeah, like my question is, when you guys were babies, did you just start running out of the womb, or did you crawl and then walk and then run? Right? Because
Well, the game state also defines the way you play.
of course,
Like when you're
but
2 goals up, you don't need
we
to
we've been in a position
necessarily
where we
push for a
haven't won
third.
2 games in a row for months, right? So
Yeah.
we need to, and not even forget the Premier League. I'm just talking all competitions, because I think the last time we did that was in January. And so we're in a dire state, guys, and every week, the second we draw or lose, we're talking about Emram getting sacked. So if you're expecting this team to become prime Barcelona in one game, like, it's just not going to happen, right? So if we, like you said, Finn, rightly so, that in the first half we controlled the game and we got 2 goals up, and the game state defined that it wasn't necessary for us to go, gung ho and end up in a situation where we're having to score a last minute penalty again, right? So we controlled the game and we put it to bed in the first half, and then we just rode it out the rest of the time.
What did you make of Cunha?
I'm worried about Cunha a little bit, because I think, um, surprisingly so, nobody in the media is giving him a lot of flack, because you know how the 007 conversations with Verts and all the other guys that have been going on. Um,
It was
uh,
about to happen with Sheshko before he started scoring.
yeah, exactly. It
He
was
wasn't.
happening with Sheshko. They were
He
making memes
wasn't that
about
far
it, and then
off.
he scored. Yeah, he scored. So Mount is in a position where he has not really done anything, right? There's a lot of like hitting the post and all that. So I am
Yeah.
worried, because I feel like the stuff that Cunha is, you could argue like world class or close to world class at, in terms of his dribbling, going past players. He Mount has been doing better than Cunha at those things as well. So
Yes,
that
and
that's my
Mount
concern
offers a lot more
defensively.
defensively than
Yeah,
Cunha,
yeah,
and he's a bit smarter in possession, I feel.
yeah, yeah. And
Also,
Mount is
also
one of those.
Cunha,
Go for it. Go for it. Sorry.
uh, Cunha's also. Well, I knew he was selfish from when he played in Wolves, but it has cost us already like a few opportunities where he could have easily passed, but he chose to shoot, and the shot wasn't all that great, and that's a little disappointing.
Yeah,
That he's a little too greedy for my liking.
I would agree with that take. I mean, really, I think we're on the same page with Cunha, because my issue with him is that I don't think he has realized he is playing for a much bigger team, and expectations have gone up for him, because Wolves was essentially a counterattacking team, and he's been doing that for a long time. He played for Madrid before that, and they were also a counterattacking team. So it's not like he's just gonna get the ability to run from one box to the other and shoot because nobody else around him is good enough to take the ball off him. Well, he needs to
And that
start
space
playing
is
team football and yeah,
like that space. It just doesn't exist when you play for Manchester United most of the time.
yeah,
Like it might be there when we play the big boys, like when we play Liverpool in 2 weeks.
hmm
The space might be there for a counterattack, but when you're expected to dominate the ball, uh, there aren't really those opportunities to drive forward into space and shoot
yeah, yeah.
that he like the sort of scenarios where he thrives in. Those don't really happen with us, so he hasn't really been able to show his best, I feel.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Cunha is probably, based on what I've seen so far. I know we're only 7 Premier League games in, and if you count the Grimsby game, it's 8. But I actually think Cunha will have the hardest time betting into this team compared to the 3 players that we purchased because Sheshko's
Oh, maybe
already
because
doing a lot of the good stuff, right?
yeah,
Sheshko's already doing a lot of the good
Shevka's already
stuff.
scored twice, and
And he's
Mbuma's
also
been our
doing
best
the other
player.
work, right? It's not just about the goals. He's doing the hold up play well.
Yes,
He's running into the channels. He's very unselfish. He doesn't seem to be throwing his hands around, when he doesn't get the ball, which is, again, super like breath of fresh air. And Mbumo specifically there's been so much put on his shoulders, and he hasn't had a bad game yet. You know what I mean? Like, he hasn't had
no,
great games, but he hasn't had like a terrible game either. Um,
he's been our best player this season, I think.
Absolutely. Him and Delict probably neck and neck for our best player.
Yeah, yeah, I would say between those two,
Yeah. Cool,
or at the very
Finn.
least, the most consistent players.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. Because we haven't had a great season, but at least those guys have put their hands up every time they've been called upon. Finn, thank you so much for joining today and sharing your thoughts. I'm gonna move you to the waiting room, and if you want to hang around a bit, I might pull you back in a little bit later.
All right, have a great stream.
Thank you. All right, that's Finn, I believe, calling from Russia, a longtime United fan as well. I'm gonna bring in Mark and Marcus and Rishi. Let's have a little group discussion here. Hey guys, you're live on Footy with an Edge. It's Mark, it's Marcus and Rishi. Go on, guys. How are we feeling about Lammens? Let's talk about him quickly, and then floor's open for you guys to bring in some other topics as well.
I can go first.
Lammens, go ahead.
Yeah, I was very happy to see Lammens start, and he performed just the way I thought he would, catching crosses, being confident. Um, there was one mistake he made, but that's
The
totally
red
fine.
card.
It was his
It
mistake.
should have been a red card, dude. I still don't know how that's not a red card, but whatever.
Yeah, it could have, but I'm glad
It didn't
there was
hurt
no
him,
card
right?
given because it could have affected his confidence. But anyway, I'm
Yeah.
happy. It was a good game for him, a good start. I'm sure the coming games would be harder, but everything looks promising with Lammens. I wouldn't compare him with Schmeichel yet. I think he's got a lot to prove to
Oh,
get to
of
that
course. Yeah, yeah,
category.
yeah. I mean, you really compare him to Schmeichel till he's won a bunch of Premier Leagues and also the Champions League? You cannot. But
Yeah.
it's part of being a football fan to get carried away. Okay, nobody can take that away from me. Nobody can take that away from Old Trafford. So when people were singing, I know it's tongue in cheek to say, "Are you Schmeichel in disguise?" But listen, we've had in recent history, Peter Schmeichel, obviously Van der Sar, and De Gea as well. So he has a lot to do to catch up to any one of them. But from what I saw, like I said, he's even looked more assured than De Gea in some aspects of his game. Like his passing, he seemed quite assured, right? So that was a good sign.
I mean,
Isn't it sad?
of De
Sorry,
Gea,
go ahead.
he couldn't catch a ball. Like when De Gea came, he was really fragile. I thought Lemons looked like he's shoe in for the Premier League. He looked really good.
Yeah.
I think he will, if he goes and progresses the way I think he would. I think he'll be one of the best keepers we've ever had. He's got tremendous potential.
Yeah.
Um,
And
Isn't it sad though that a goalkeeper has a regular goalkeeper performance and it's like the main topic all over YouTube because we haven't had anything like it since Van der Sar, to be honest with you.
yeah, yeah. But we're in
He
that
only made 2 catches and made 2 saves. I mean, that's
yeah.
not a 22 save De Gea performance,
Yeah, yeah, that's
right?
true. That's true. But I think Marcus, the point is, sometimes the eye test tells you more than
Oh,
the evidence
fully,
suggests, because he
fully agree. Like the
yeah,
second he jumped out and got that first catch, the entire fan base
yeah,
just breathed a sigh of relief, like, oh my God, there's something here. And yeah, it's fully understandable he got man of the match. But what I'm saying is he had a regular goalkeeper performance, which is all we need.
yeah. And one thing I will say, and Rishi, let me get your thoughts on this as well. I don't think there's ever in the history of United, at least like let's say the modern history, right? I'm sure Marcus has an example from 1975, but I'll say
No, I'm not that old. I was
it
only 12 then. Give me a
yeah,
break.
yeah, and so in modern history, I would say there's never been more pressure on a big team goalkeeper to come in and have an impact in his first game. Because let's be real, if Lammens gets sent off in that game, where would we be as a fan base? Because we would just not know where to go. Like we have 4 goalkeepers on the books, guys, and this guy was supposed to be the next big thing since sliced bread, and he gets sent off too. We would have been in a bad place. So for us to catch a break, so to speak, with this guy, with all the pressure he had on him, I think that's huge.
Well, that shows you the resilience and the character of this guy, right? Like, I
Yeah,
mean, he didn't break. He came out and said, well, you live in Toronto, so you saw that pitcher pitch 5 shutout innings as a 22-year-old the other day against the Yankees. It's
mm.
the same type of thing. Guy's got balls. That's what we want.
Yeah. Rishi, give us your thoughts.
Yeah, I just want to set the context a little bit more here because we are two complete clowns as keepers, um, Binder and Onana, and I would rather prefer a three-ring binder than Altai binder in the United goal because I think a three-ring binder would keep us more secure. Uh, and not only was Lomans having to contend with so much pressure of having to be better than these two because it was him or nothing, right? But
Yeah.
also just the fact that maybe your coach doesn't trust you completely. Let's be honest that Emi Martinez was the guy that Amarim wanted, right?
Yeah.
And Emi Martinez was the guy that he wanted. And if Martinez had come in on deadline day, he would have started that game against City. He wouldn't have been groomed for a couple of games and he
Yeah.
wouldn't have been waiting in the wings till Binder made a mistake. So there's also that question of do I have the coach's complete trust in me, right? And you have to prove not just to the coach, but you have to prove to the fans as well. Uh, you also have to kind of uh, prove to yourself because the highest level you've played so far is the Belgian league. I think that's ninth or 10th in the coefficient ranking. It's not
Yeah.
even a top 6 league, right? Or top 7 league.
No, it's not.
So
But Rishi, I will say this, that every sort of known league in Europe, right, is getting significantly better in the last few years because the infrastructure spending has distributed a lot more under UEFA, right? So even the Belgian league has produced some really good players. Let me give you one small example. I think Lois Openda used to play in the Belgian league for Club Brugge or Genk. I can't remember which club, but he's now at Leipzig, and he was the main striker even over Benjamin Šeško last season. I think. Sorry,
I
he's at
understand that.
Juventus
I
now. He's at
understand that,
Juventus now.
Andy.
Yeah.
I understand that. I understand that. But let
Yeah.
me ask you, how many of these Bundesliga strikers have come to the Premier League and then hit it off immediately? Erling
Benjamin
Haaland,
Sesko.
that's the
Yeah,
only
Benjamin
only
Šeško. Yeah.
name. Come on, he's had two good games. Let's not glaze our players,
That's
okay?
the
They're not
game.
donuts, and we are not Arsenal fans. Lammens had a good game. Let's give him the props for having a good game. And I would actually even question the FOTMOB rating that he got. He got a rating of 8.6 in a game when he should have actually been sent off for a red card in the 60th minute.
No, he
Uh,
didn't.
right?
the
So,
ball hit the player's head. There's no red card there.
no, I'm
Oh
not
no,
talking about
that's not
Shesko. I'm
Šeško.
talking
Not
about
Šeško. He's talking about
Lammens.
Lammens.
Oh, okay. No, but that was
Yeah,
outside the box, wasn't it?
yeah, that was outside the box, and he was the last man. Like Sanchez had been sent off. Similarly, Loman should have been sent off. And if that had happened, we would have been having a completely different conversation here.
Yeah.
So, see,
Well, of course he would have.
I'm all for
You know
picking
who
the
the last
positive.
guy that did that was Emmy Martinez, and you want him in, and he got a red
No,
card against
I
us
didn't,
last season.
Marcus, I didn't want him in. I said the manager wanted him in.
Absolutely. Okay, so we're
And
on the same page
Y-
there, man.
Yeah, I didn't want him in. Even Martinez was not a great choice. I honestly don't know who would have been the best goalie. Let's keep the budget and let's keep the price of the transfer fee and everything aside. I don't even know if someone like a Diogo Costa would have been a great goalie for United because he shat the bed when we played Porto under Ten Hag last season. He
Yeah.
let two easy goals in. So I don't even know who would have been a great goalie, but I know
I
for sure that.
I think personally, I would have loved to see Donnarumma in net because
Of course.
he would have saved everything. And like you said, if the money doesn't matter, guys, it's not coming out of my pocket. It's not coming out of anyone else's pocket here. So what does it matter that we're paying Donnarumma a high salary and he plays, really well for us for 3 seasons? Because I think
Yeah,
in the
Andy,
Brentford game, yeah,
can I quickly just interject here? And I've heard this a lot about people talking about, the money is not going out of my pocket. That conversation makes absolute sense. If I'm not paying the money and the club is paying the money and we're getting a top class player, how does it matter how much we pay them? But we also must remember that the kind of money we pay these players, it leads to the next guy and the guy after that coming and asking for a very high wage. We have paid those high wages for people who were supposed to be top performers. And that has led to a rotten culture in the club, right? Remember what we paid Alexis Sanchez?
yeah,
Remember
but
what we paid Jadon Sancho?
yeah. So
So
let me
the
let me
the
just
money is
interject
directly
there.
proportionate to the culture in the club.
Yeah, but let me
So
give
I
you an example, right? Rishi, Donnarumma is 26. He has won trophies with his national team. He's been playing at the top level since he was 16. And he's also just come off a fresh treble, including the Champions League. So I don't think there's a player that comes close to Donnarumma's quality in his own position that we have offered a high salary for, because Sanchez was given a high salary because it was effectively a transfer, what's it called, player swap, and we didn't want him to go to City, right? That's why we gave him all that money. That was a mistake. Jadon Sancho was a young player who was 19 or 20 when we signed him. Yes, he had great record, but it was with Dortmund and he hadn't won anything, right? So I think with Donnarumma, it would be slightly different in terms of us offering him that money. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, but I don't think that imputes similarly, Andy, people who are in the same locker room. Donnarumma starts having a couple of bad games, pressure starts piling on him. You don't know how he's going to perform. And then the next guy who has a bit of a purple patch and his contract is up, he starts performing well. He asked for similar money. That's exactly what happened with Rashford, right?
He has
In
those.
2019, when his contract was up for renewal, He asked for Mo Salah money. We paid him 200K a week. That's what Mo Salah was making after breaking the record for the highest number of goals scored in a single Premier League season. So the amount of money, and the salary cap, right, is like something that I strongly believe in our team at least, because we have had a terrible time of it. We paid Jadon Sancho £350,000 a week when he was nowhere nearly deserving any of it. So even if someone who deserves it comes in, the moment he hits a bad patch of form, look at what we did with De Gea. De Gea at that time when he was making £375,000 a week, he was probably deserving of that money because we wouldn't have had to pay a transfer fee for a new goalie, right? And he had been there already on £200,000 a week. So he was
No,
probably
he was
deserving
on
of that money.
375. We were going to pay him over 400. He was already on 375 for like a
I'm talking about
5-year deal.
2019, Marcus. I'm talking about
Yeah,
2019 when we first offered him 375. Dean Henderson came in. He was a backup goalie, and he was
he was
making 140,000 pounds a week.
I
Yeah.
so wish we'd kept Dean Henderson. I can't tell you, because he was going to take over. He was going to take over for De Gea, and then he got injured, and De Gea came back into the team, and that's what stunted Dean Henderson at United.
Yeah, I think with Dean Henderson, the problem that I had there was he was starting to act like he felt like he was bigger than the
and
club as
big up
well.
himself. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. He
He
was
seemed to
becoming
be like a little
Rashford,
big-headed. Yeah.
then, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But you need that attitude on the pitch, maybe not in the locker room. So I agree with you there. So,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of comments that first off, the goalkeeper. I don't think we went for the. The thing is, there's players that we should go for, but they're already accustomed to a way of playing. And I think the reason why they want the younger guys in is so that they can become accustomed. They haven't been taught too much and become accustomed to how Ruben Amorim is playing. And if we brought in Donnarumma, he would have come in with an ego and a price tag and a salary and expectations.
Mm-hmm.
And whereas Lammens come in and nobody expected anything. And on that, we've saved enough money to buy a midfielder in January.
No, I agree with you. In fact, I personally, this is a very hot take. I think us signing Ronaldo again was also a turning point moment.
Huge.
Right?
As soon as that happened, I was like, no.
Yeah, because it was great. Listen, I felt something that I hadn't felt in more than 10 years when he scored those 2 goals against Newcastle in his debut. When he scored those goals, I felt something I'd never felt before in like 10 years. So I appreciated that, but at the same time, we paid him like more than $500,000 in wages, and then on his way out, he just shat all over the club, which was so hard for me to see because, in my opinion, a GOAT doesn't behave like that. If you're the greatest of all time, that's not how you behave.
We were in such bad financial situation at that time that the 13.5 million that we owed him became what was called dead money, so that it didn't have to go against the salary cap. Right? Yeah. We didn't even get to profit on that 7.8 million. It became dead money. And that was the worst. That was just the worst thing we did.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? And even like you look at Alexis Sanchez, you look at Ronaldo, there's a lot of cases, but my point is, Marcus, now that we've seen Lammens, it's easy for us to say that, it's good that we went for him and we saved that money. We're going to spend it on a midfielder. But if you look at it a different way, if Lammens comes in and he gets sent off on his debut and he has a terrible game, then we're sitting there thinking we had the chance to go get Donnarumma. Why we should have just done it.
Right, but we only spent 18 million on him, and we still have the money for a midfielder.
No, now after the fact,
if
right?
we got Donnarumma and he fucked up on his first day, excuse my language.
Yeah.
if he'd beefed up on his first day, then we'd be going, holy crap, we should have spent our money on Lammens and a goal and a midfielder.
Yeah.
But
Look,
you know,
I think
So,
but the point is that with someone like Donnarumma, the chances of him screwing up are much lower because we've seen the evidence in big leagues in big moments. He
right.
just won the Champions League, right? So it's not like we're talking about somebody that is used to making a lot of mistakes that lead to goal. And I think that's the overall point. But anyways, look, we're here to talk about Lammens. We're happy that he's here.
That performance on Saturday
Yeah.
bought a lot of credit with United fans for if he makes a mistake on game 4.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna bring in Finn here as well, since he's been waiting alone in the waiting room. But any other talking points you guys wanna bring up?
I'm gonna step out and let everyone else speak. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, thanks, Marcus.
Andy, yeah, I think what you said, Donnarumma would probably be a very good goalie, would have fit right in, I think. But the other thing over the game, I was very pleased is we kept a clean sheet, which was good. One other thing I hadn't seen our team play was we were more resilient than the previous games. I thought. I don't know if it was because Sunderland was so poor and off the pace, or was it because we were actually quite good. I don't know yet, but I haven't watched the highlights. But I thought it was good. And one thing I think we really need to do is I think we need to take an extra shot, or an extra touch, or maybe an extra pass in our right outside our box. We're taking too many shots right outside our box rather than look at taking a touch and making a pass. Sesko was in good positions in a couple of attempts, and I think one Ahmad just shot. He worked the goalkeeper, which was good. But sometimes I just feel if we take an extra touch and a pass, we might be in a better scoring position.
Yeah, I think this is a good point, Mark. And I saw a breakdown from The Athletic. I think JJ Bull, he's an analyst for The Athletic. He was discussing why United take a lot of shots and why the XG per shot is not as high as some other teams. And essentially what he said was that the rest of the team is not getting up the pitch as fast as some of the forwards are. So what happens is essentially Šeško, gets to the edge of the box and the rest of the team is still waiting to come behind him. But the ball gets to him first. So when he turns around, he doesn't have another option in front of him. So he just shoots from outside the box. And this has happened with Šeško a couple of times. It's also happened with Cunha a couple of times. Whereas the other players are probably a little bit better at maintaining their composure. I think while you're making a good point, it doesn't actually happen as often as we think. The thing that's happening is we're not timing the weight of our passes very well. Many times what happens is the Mbeumo and Ahmad will be working together on the right wing, and one of them will underhit the pass or overhit the pass. So the fluidity of the attack in the way that it's supposed to be built up doesn't build up in the same way. And then the defense gets time to set up, which means we only have a chance to take a long shot. So some of that is also happening. I think it will come in time, right? Because did you see my Šeško video that I posted a few hours ago, Mark?
I'm yet to watch it. To watch it. I will watch it soon.
Yeah, one of the things I brought up on it was basically we are getting better and better at beating the press, right, from the opposition. So in the Sunderland game, there were 3 or 4 times, you'll see it in that video as well, where we beat the press really well, but the ball came to Šeško and he tried to play that touch into Mbeumo's feet or Ahmad's feet or Mount's feet, and essentially the touch or the final execution was not perfect. And because of that, the play just died, right? So that is what I'm talking about in terms of the fluidity just about not being there. And once that gets better with the chemistry and with time, I think we'll see a lot more quality chances being created by the system.
Yeah, exactly. And just us keeping a clean sheet is just a confidence booster to continue doing what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Finn or Rishi, anything else you guys want to discuss?
To add a bit on the point we were just discussing, I feel like there's still a lot of impatience in the way we attack, a lot of like almost desperation. Like we almost want to score too badly and stuff just doesn't happen the way we want it to. Like a misplaced pass is often that way because Bruno or whoever it is just makes it too quickly. Like that's the feeling I often get, especially when it's either 0-0 or like we're chasing the game. Like obviously some desperation is understandable, but we're almost childish with it in a way. Like we're trying to force the issue a lot of the time.
Yeah, that
when we
probably
don't
has
have
to
to.
do with that probably has to do a little bit with the confidence thing as well, right? Because these guys
I think it has
searching for
everything
their
to do with
first,
the
yeah, they're
confidence.
searching for their first goal. Like our top scorer is
'Cause
still like Šeško and Bruno, I think, in the league.
we
So
talk about every single Premier League game as a must-win. This can't be healthy for any of the players in terms of mental fragility.
yeah,
Like especially after years of underperforming, the pressure at this point has to be pretty immense, and
I mean,
some of our players just can't really deal with it, I don't think.
I
yeah.
don't think I agree with you, Senne. I don't think the pressure is too high, considering we are not playing in any tournament apart from the league and FA Cup. Like we have a lot of rest.
I don't. So Mark, I don't think he's talking about like pressure on your body or something like that. I think I agree with Finn.
I mean
with
mental
Finn
pressure
100%,
to
yeah.
win.
Yeah. The pressure to win, the pressure to succeed. Because think about it this way, right? I was debating this the other day where are the players behind Amarim or are they not behind Amarim? And if you actually look at our squad, the only players that really massively predate Amarim are Maguire, Dallo, Shaw, and Bruno. Right, the rest of the players either came in under Ten Hag towards to the middle of the end into the team especially, or were brought in by Amarim himself. So if you're looking at Šeško, if you're looking at what's it called, Cunha and Mbumo, those guys just came in this season and they have to deliver because it's also on them, right? They've been signed for big money. This club is in the dumps. We finished 15th. And every time we, forget about losing or drawing, we have a misplaced pass from somebody and everybody's over analyzing the shit out of it. Right. So there's a lot of pressure, man. And it's so toxic too, because Roy Keane out there every week is like, oh, back in my day, we did better than that, and that's it. It's just like you guys suck.
It doesn't.
There's no analysis
It doesn't
beyond
help.
that. Yeah, it doesn't help.
Definitely doesn't help.
Yeah, that would definitely. I agree with you there. Like it doesn't help, but I also feel it's part of the manager's role to keep the players in check. Like to say, focus on your strengths. Don't worry about what others are saying. Like you have a job to do, and professionally also, you'd have a sense of developing yourself. And I would think like a player like Sesko would also have ambitions of saying, I want to be the best in the Premier League, like personal ambition. There's a drive that should come with it, and also obviously the expectation from the club. Like the fans wouldn't sit there, you doing nothing. Like they expect you to work hard and try hard and score goals.
Yeah. Mark, did you say that you're from Toronto? Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, I just live outside of.
Yeah. So, Mark, let me give you a parallel, right? I would very comfortably say that someone like you or me or Finn or Rishi, or the United fans that watch this channel or watch the game every week, care more about how Amarim does and how the team does than what your local politician is doing for your city or your country. And there's more scrutiny on Amarim right now than there is on Trudeau when he was president or prime minister for all those years, right? So we need to realize that the pressure on Amarim, like you're talking about, it's Amarim's job to make it easy for the players. I think we need somebody to make it easy for Amarim because he's wearing his heart on his sleeve, and the amount how emotional that guy is. He's doing 50 press conferences every week, and the pressure on him to succeed with all the players coming out. Like Wayne Rooney was almost crying on his BBC podcast, being like, I don't recognize this team anymore. I don't know what the problem is. Players are not fit to wear the shirt. And this is our a record-breaking goal scorer of our club, who is my favorite player of all time, even over Ronaldo. And that's who's saying this, right? And we have all of them. We have Rio, we have Gary Neville, all of these guys making it so toxic for the players and the club to actually progress forward beyond them. And that's the problem, right? So regardless of how many psychologists you bring in, you can't escape the fact that people are being toxic towards the club, and especially the rival fans. They're loving it, right? They just got their popcorn out and they're watching us fail every week.
This is what I would say, Andy. Like, Wayne Rooney has all the right to say what he has to say, because he's put blood, sweat, and tears when he was on the field. And Amarim, as the manager, he doesn't have the right to say you can't say this and whatnot. It's his the fact that he is signed for a club like Man United. He's probably going to get more scrutiny than what he's been getting every week. It's only going to be compounded. Like, even if he succeeds, that single failure, if he ever has, people are going to be, hopping on the train and then just hammering him. I think when you sign for a club like a Man United, you need to build up that, the resilience to prove these guys not just by words, but actually, on the pitch too. Like,
Yeah.
I don't necessarily agree with what Rooney has said and what the other pundits are saying, right? But the thing, the nature of the job is that they're not going to help you. Whether they scream out of passion or for attention, we don't know. But
Yeah,
that's
so
the
it's
field
yeah,
they're
so
in.
listen, they're trying to build their own media careers and all that, right? So that's fine. And I don't think anyone can ask another person to shut up, but my point is that none of it is helpful, and when it's done under the guise of being helpful, that's what rubs me the wrong way, right? Because these guys are sitting
right.
there being like, "Oh, Amarim should just change to a back four." I'm like, "Dude, you wouldn't understand football tactics if they slapped you in the face." Okay? You like Paul Scholes, for as good as a midfielder as he was, he doesn't understand anything. If you asked him to explain Amarim's three at the back system and how he does build up and all of that, he wouldn't know anything, right? So what right does he have to say that Amarim should change his system to four at the back? If he says it's not good enough and the results should be better, that part I can understand, because that's just very general analysis, right? But he doesn't understand anything about it. And the second thing I'll say is, back when Neville and Scholes and everybody was playing, we were definitively the best team in the league. We were also the best squad in the league. So anytime somebody spoke shit against them in the media, they said, "Oh, you know what, guys? Let's show them next week." And they were actually able to go show them next week, and improve their performance and actually make it happen. In United's case, we finished 15th last year. We at best have the 10th best squad in the league. So what we can show them next week is we can go lose, right? As a group of players.
See, this is where I think the culture part is gone. Like, when Fergie was there, like, he was, whether he said it in words or not, like, it was just very evident. Like, people were competitive. Like, you could see when United and Arsenal played back in the day, like, it was a battle. And it wasn't like, someone like, these players were foreign players too. Like, they got it right away. Like, they had their personal pride on there. They played for the club. They did everything there. I feel.
Yeah, but Mark, that really doesn't exist in the modern game, right? Because you see these people in the tunnel, they're tapping each other up before the match. They're all
No,
friends from a previous club or they're international teammates. So that sense of personal pride or that sense of rivalry doesn't really exist anymore, unfortunately.
no, I agree it has gone out from the game big time, but I don't think it has gone out entirely. I've seen, like, under Klopp, I think Liverpool had a little bit of that edge where they played passionately, especially when they played City. Like, it was definitely there. I think you're right. Like, overall in the league or across the leagues, it has gone down. But, like, Amarim, I think one of the things he looks up to United is that this club has that culture and he has that opportunity to light that up again. But it's a big step up. Like, I'm sure he can do it, but it's a step-by-step process.
Yeah.
Then
I
getting the
think
results.
I think Mark, I admire what you're saying, and that is definitely like if I was Amarim, right? This is what I would be telling the players, which is, and I'm sure he is telling the players that, right? Like, don't care about social media. And I was listening to Carl Anka on the Talk of the Devils podcast yesterday. He was talking about Harry Maguire and the amount of abuse he's received since he's been at United, and the type of toll it can take on somebody, right? Because for us to sit here and say, you know, you're making £200,000 a week, you were the club captain when you didn't deserve it, and you know you were consistently dropping stinkers week in week out. All that is fair, but if you were in Harry Maguire's position, the amount of hatred and abuse he gets, and listen, I've been part of this. I've called him crap. I've called him a fridge. You know, I've called him a bunch of crap, but when you get that level of abuse and none of it is constructive criticism, right? Nobody's sitting there being like, you know, hey, Maguire, like considering how slow you are at turning, maybe you should be 2 yards behind the line. Maybe you shouldn't be playing the offside trap, whatever. Everything is, you know, more vile and abusive than that. And my only point is that the thing I can't get behind is the ex players sitting there pretending like they know better or they could do better. Look at all of their managerial records. Wayne Rooney has been crap. Roy Keane has been crap. Gary Neville has famously been crap. Paul Scholes lasted 2 weeks with Oldham, did he? And we're in a position where all like the average fan gets their news and their analysis from these guys. So that's the concern I have, because the larger fan base is also getting more toxic and more negative because it's easy to hate something you don't understand. And this three at the back system is something that the pundits don't understand. And as a result, the fans don't understand.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, I think management and playing abilities are two different things. They're not the same. Half of ex-United players are very bad managers, including Wayne Rooney. I don't think he's very good.
Yep.
But yeah, I agree with you. I think fans too, like even when they feed off of like these sort of criticisms that are half-baked or coming from a source that is not very knowledgeable, I think that there's a decency that we've got to conduct ourselves in. They are players at the end of the day. And sometimes I often, like, this is what I thought we were missing when we sold McTominay, is we needed someone who could coach players, like really develop them, right? Like take them from ability A to like, A plus, like, you need to get them there. I thought like it's missing from modern coaching. A lot of coaches don't tend to do that these days. But back in the day, you saw that, like, the only coach whom I thought was actually doing that was Pochettino. He took players, developed them to a degree where it was probably, I thought, like a much higher level than they probably couldn't have reached themselves.
Yep.
I can't see very many coaches doing that these days. Definitely Mourinho never did.
I'll say, for this is probably the first and last time you'll ever hear me give Pep Guardiola credit on this channel, but I think Guardiola, what he did with Sterling, right? What he did with Jesus, what we did with even Leroy Sané, those three players particularly, did really well for City, and then since then or before then, were not very good. So Guardiola, you could give him some credit. Even with Zinchenko, right? He also played with Fabian Delph in his title-winning teams. So you have to give Guardiola some credit in terms of improving players as well. But yeah, I think we sorely need that, right? And I think one thing that people are not really realizing in the whole Mainu debate is that Amarim is trying to improve Mainu by setting higher standards for him and by trying to make sure that he can actually thrive in the system as a two-man midfield. And people are just, because there's so much negativity, again, it's very easy to hate something you don't understand, and they don't understand why Mainu's out of the team, so they hate on Amarim for keeping him out of the team.
I think the problem with Mainu and the general perception of Mainu is that a lot of the fans treat him like he's done, like he's a finished article already. And I don't know, maybe you can't blame them for that because of how Mainu started and how he performed in his first season, but watching him play, he's clearly not quite there. Like, especially physically, it's very evident that physically he is not ready to play in a double pivot, not ready to press with the intensity that's required.
Yeah.
Like, technically, Mainu is probably there or thereabouts for like starting for Manchester United, but in terms of speed and endurance, not really. He can't really
He's also missing the hustle, right?
compete there.
He's
Yes, he
missing the
is.
hustle, right? Where you know what Ahmad does, right? Ahmad is all hustle. The way he presses somebody, he hounds them, right? Like clipping at their feet. And Mainu really needs to learn that, whether that's, changing his body language or just, trying to run with more intensity. He needs to figure that out. And that's what Emran's trying to coach him, right? And I feel like everybody wants a immediate solution. And the second Mainu comes into the team and he starts dropping stinkers, then Amram is blamed for ruining a young player, right? So you can't. It's like you lose either way, and people just need to get rid of the negativity and stop becoming like Arsenal fans.
There always seems to be a player in Manchester United that is not playing, and the fan perception is only if he was playing, we'd be great.
Yeah.
Like only if Mainu was on this team, we'd start winning.
That's
Same thing happened
all
with
of Donny van de Beek's career.
Donny van de Beek
Donny
was
van de
exactly
Beek.
the player I was thinking.
Yeah.
Exactly the player I was thinking of. Well, he's not playing, but if he was, we'd be good. And whenever he got the chance to play, he was fucking dog shit. So I don't know about that, guys.
Yeah.
And Mainu hasn't shown that he's that player.
Right.
He might be one day, but he's not the solution. He's not the Messiah, guys. He's not.
Yeah.
Finn, I was just thinking the other day that Phil Foden, when he was Menu's age, he was playing 1,800 minutes across an entire season. That's about 20 games, right? And Man City were winning the first of their 4 consecutive titles. And it's only the season after that where he started playing 30 games, like 30 full 90s. So, Menu for a 20-year-old, I think there's this culture that by people like Yamal, before they've turned 18, they're called Ballon d'Or winners. We are searching for the next big thing. We're looking for a 16-year-old who can be better than Yamal. And at the age of 20, when you're just supposed to start developing, people think that, he's already supposed to be like a Ballon d'Or nominee. I think even in Menu's head, he's not fully grasped the concept yet that there's a lot more learning and development to go. And especially when someone like Paul Scholes says that when I was his age, I wasn't even a tenth of the player. Well, Paul Scholes became Paul Scholes at 22, 23, 24 when he kept working hard and because he kept pushing himself and because his manager kept pushing him. So this is something I find missing in this generation where everyone is supposed to immediately be good enough to be a Ballon d'Or nominee or a winner. And people put this pressure on themselves that if they don't get the chance to go out there and prove uh, to the world every game that they're good enough, that suddenly they stop being a football player. They don't understand that part of being a professional sportsman or being a professional artist is that you got to take some time back and you got to work on yourself. It's not like a 9 to 5 job, right? That you go every day and you do a set of things that ensures that you get your salary at the end of the month and next year you get a 6% increment. Uh, so this is something I feel is just missing in the culture these days, not just in football, but just in the world and in the way that us fans look at football.
Yeah.
Right. So I feel that it's not the worst thing that a 20-year-old is not getting game time at United, one of the biggest clubs in the world.
In fact, it's exactly the thing that this club is missing, which is high standards, right? In every other direction, people like to say that we don't have high enough standards or look at how the mighty have fallen. But we're setting high standards for Mainu and everybody has a problem with it, which makes no sense, right? Because again, I think it's part of being in the social media age, right? Where you have a solution, you want to, buy something, you can buy it within a few clicks. You want to feel good about yourself, you can go on a vacation immediately. So there's a lot of things that have changed from back when Paul Scholes was coming through the ranks, and obviously he had a lot of better players to compete against as well. So There wasn't a question of sort of, do I need to work hard? It's like, if I don't work hard, I may not even be a professional footballer, right?
There's definitely an
Yeah,
element of like instant gratification that wasn't there like 10, 15 years ago, especially for young players.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not sure what kind of money Mainu's on right now, but it's got to be pretty good money, right? Especially for a 20-year-old.
I read
Like,
30,000
he
pounds
could
a week
comfortably
somewhere.
Yeah, it says 25,000
live
pounds.
on that salary, and
Yeah.
I don't imagine the players from the class of '92 are making that kind of money, where they could
No,
live
I think Roy Keane was making a
comfortably off that
million
salary.
pounds a year when towards the end when he left United, he was making like maybe 2 or 3 million pounds a year, and that was after winning
Yeah,
like a Champions League.
so
Yeah,
Roy Keane,
and the young
Roy
players
Keane
from the
signed
academy
on.
were not making anything close to that. Like, I don't imagine.
Roy Keane in his first year made 400,000 pounds at United when he was 22 years old.
Yeah.
Like, even adjusted for
Uh,
inflation, that's
for the year.
not a lot of money.
That's not a lot. That's not a lot.
Yeah. But
Can I ask you guys a question about the
go for it.
game?
Go for it.
So one question. This was I didn't watch the highlights, but do you think benching Patrick Dorgu and playing Diogo Dalot, who was a little bit more defensive than attacking, I don't think he particularly shined in this game, but him just being more defensive made a difference?
I have a serious opinion on this because since I've watched that game back twice now, one for the first video I made after the game and the second for the Sheshko video I made. And in my opinion, right, Amarim actually wants inverted fullbacks. Because the fullbacks are actually more of the wingers hugging the touchline. So what he wants, for example, Amad Diallo, it's not just a mistake that Amad is playing at right wing back. I think he wants somebody like Amad Diallo to play at right wing back. And if you remember, he played Dorgu at right wing back in his first game as well, which is, by the way, where Dorgu also played for Lecce at right wing back for most of his games. So what he wants the wing backs to do is actually hug the touchline and offer an early cross, by cutting inside or by being on their strong foot, which is the opposite of where they are. And I think that's why he likes to play Dallo there. And I'm sure in the future he wouldn't mind playing Mazraoui there either. And I think with Dorgu, he's just in a similar boat to Mainu, where he just wants him to have the pressure on him to continuously perform because he just doesn't want to give him the shirt for no reason. That's my thoughts.
How did he, like, do you think like Dallo had a good impact this past game, like from your analysis and highlights?
Yeah.
Of adding some defensive structure, especially preventing counters.
So I see Dallo is an X factor player in the sense that, a few seasons back he was our player of the season. And in certain games he can certainly take on the instruction and do a job. But my problem with him is I think in his head he's trying to do too much, because the simple things, when they come to him, he makes a mistake. So that's the problem. And Marcus Stevenson says, I'm hoping he's not playing Dallo for throw-ins. I think that is his best attribute right now, because we got a goal from it, and there were other long throws as well that caused the other team trouble. So my point is, I think Dallo plays in the Liverpool game, by the way, because he is viewed as a very coachable player in the same way that Mason Mount is. And the opinion from the team will be that, regardless of, Dallo misplacing some passes, the left side of our team was very strong because Mount had a good game, Shaw had a decent game, Bruno obviously plays off the left, and we don't want to change anything there. So I think they'll think of Dallo as more like an assured player who can take on instruction and do a job for that game. And I think in my opinion, this is an early shout for the match preview. He's going to be our most important player in that game, because if he has a 7 or 8 out of 10, we are winning that game.
Oh, looking forward to it.
He has the same problem Luke Shaw has.
Yeah, in a way, yes, he does. They can
where
both
his
switch
brain
off defensively.
His brain just turns off at intermittent intervals, and it's quite frustrating because there is a okay player in there. Like, I don't think he's world class or anything, but he can do a job. But it's way too often, especially when defending, there's just a moment where he's asleep at the wheel and just the guy runs past him, or he doesn't track his man, and it often leads to very bad things for us. And that's why I'm not a huge fan of Dalot. And also, he's not too impressive technically. Like, he can't really whip a ball in with any sort of accuracy. He's a decent dribbler, but he also misplaces a lot of passes. He's just not an
Yeah,
impressive player technically.
I think with the ball, he severely lacks football IQ. I think
He
that
does.
much has been clear to me for a long time. I used to really like Dalo, one of the players that I liked in the squad because he's always available. He wants to do well for the team. He loves the club. You can clearly tell from the way he gives interviews.
He's easy to like.
But yeah, he's easy to like, and he's a nice guy. He's not one of my favorite things about him. He's not on too much money, so he doesn't even seem like a waste of money, right? So he's the kind of guy that you don't mind having around your squad, but the problem is when you make him put him into a leadership position, you're defining the standards that are expected of you. And Dalo, with or without the ball, has not been up to the mark for me for a United player that I see the team being built up to be, right? So maybe for this season, we can't do anything about it. We have to make do with it. Also because of the Portuguese connection, maybe it helps the coach have some of his own countrymen around him.
Yeah.
When
Yeah, so
Manchester
maybe
are challenging for a title again, Dalot will not be playing for us. I don't think so.
yeah, and the corollary is as long as Dalot is playing for us, Manchester United will not fight for a title.
Probably.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, guys. I mean, I made a video like a few days back or a couple weeks back, talking about the same applies to Bruno, because I think we can't be
for different reasons, but
yeah,
yes.
for different reasons. But no, the title piece is what I was getting at. Which is, I think Bruno being your best player is not a title winning team. I think Bruno can be your third or fourth best player, and that can be a title winning team, right? Because his ceiling is a creative engine of the team, and if you don't have somebody better than him to put the ball in the net, you're not going to win the league, right? Like I think Bruno with the Erling Haaland does way better than we can ever imagine, but nobody's ever going to go there because they're going to say, oh, he's not good enough, and blah blah blah. But
Bruno's probably fighting for a Ballon d'Or in like any top team in Real Madrid or City.
He's getting nominated for sure. If Scott McTominay can go win Serie A, player of the season, imagine what Bruno does in the Serie A.
Bruno in a good football team is a scary prospect.
Yeah, exactly. Even if he was, let's be real. Let's be completely 100% real. Bruno would be loved by Jurgen Klopp. If he was in the Klopp team, he would have loved to play Bruno because he's got the passion. He'll run for days. He's available every single game. He would be the Liverpool captain if he played under Klopp. And that's, without a shadow of a doubt.
And maybe he'd teach him to press so he looks less like a fucking headless chicken.
Yeah, of course. And let's not, dude, Bruno is also one of the most coachable players that are out there because he put his hand up and he said, put me in, coach. I'll play center midfield. I don't think that's his favorite position, but he's doing it, right? Because he gives his everything, and that's why I can never hate on Bruno. But sadly, he is not a player that we can win a title with as the best player in the team.
Definitely not.
Just going back to
not now that he's 30 years old.
What's that?
Just
go ahead, Rishi.
Yeah, I was just thinking back to what you guys said about Bruno being a coachable player. I guess Amorim is the first real coach who stuck to his guns at United, and that's why the squad is getting found out so much because the earlier guys who came in, starting from Jose to Oli to Ten Hag, the moment they realized that these players have a ceiling, they just shut up shop and they went to counter-attacking football. And this guy has stuck to his guns and he said, no, you guys have been in the cycle for too long. We need to stop going back to the comfort zone and we need to keep trying to learn a new system. That's when we've had our worst results. And people say that, that's an indictment of the coach, but I say that's an indictment of the squad,
I
because
agree.
there are so many teams. There are so many teams where a new coach comes in and suddenly you stop being able to play, or but within a few games they pick up some things, and there are certain elements that you can see. And there is no way that a man who coached a 4-1 against Man City is a bad coach, right? A person who's won 2 league titles and changed the identity of a sporting institution like Sporting. Uh, there's no way that he's a bad coach, but it's just that this narrative that needs to keep going in the media, right, all along. Like 5 weeks back, Liverpool had already won the title. And after these 3 back-to-back losses, there are Liverpool fans who are calling for Slot out.
Yeah, and
There are Liverpool
they're also
fans.
shitting on Salah.
Yeah, they're saying that Salah's a fraud, that he's lost motivation after a new title.
Yeah.
And it's just ridiculous. If there's a line somewhere forming for Liverpool haters, I'm going to kick and punch people to get to the front of it. That's how much I hate the Scousers, right? But you got to give it to Salah, man. He's a guy who's been the face of this league for the longest time, and he's probably deserved the last Ballon d'Or. He had 29 goals and 18 assists. That's ridiculous in the best
He
league
pretty
in the
much
world.
won them the title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost
did.
single-handedly.
Yeah, and all of these fans who have their own channels, they sit there and they're calling out Salah. They're making excuses like, once Isak gets used to this league, you guys, it's over for you guys. And I'm just thinking, hasn't Isak been here for the last 3 years? So
Yeah.
what are you talking about? The press is calling this a transition season for Liverpool. They won the bloody title last year.
They're
What
champions. What
transition
do you
are you talking
mean?
about?
Yeah,
Their
there's
entire
so many
spine is
excuses,
intact.
dude. And I'll tell you what, right? Even though Liverpool has only one so-called ex-player that's really loud in the media, which is Jamie Carragher, who, by the way, could not lace the boots of United's worst player. Like, I don't think he was even half as good as West Brown. Let's just be real honest here. And he has so much hatred towards United that any chance he gets, even in the Champions League games, he was talking about United and Amorim when we're not even in the Champions League, right? And then he's out there telling people how Liverpool fans should feel, or how people should feel about Liverpool when Trent was leaving and all that conversation was going on. And he himself has hated on Salah before. I don't know what that's about. So I just feel like United are everybody's favorite punching bag, and we have a very different standard set for ourselves compared to anybody else that's out there.
We ruined so many childhoods that it's completely understandable that everyone fucking hates us.
Yeah, and we also ruined so many adulthoods, by the way, because I'm still fuming that we're shit. but yeah, like I just it's crazy. Like in terms of Liverpool, just real quick here. Like, people want to build a statue. I heard Rory Jennings, by the way, who's a Chelsea fan, to be fair, but I heard Rory Jennings say
also
that.
An idiot.
Yeah, I know. He said that Slot is already better than Klopp, and I
don't know about that.
I was almost so offended that I had to keep watching. You know what I mean? Because I was like, what are you talking about? Let me hear your arguments about this. And he's like, oh well, winning the league in your first year is very hard to do. I'm like, yeah, you piece of shit. He's got Klopp's team and Klopp's best players, who he left the team in a very good position. He wasn't he didn't leave the team in a bad place. And the league, the quality of the league at the top of the league was also not very good last year. Like, Man City wasn't very good. Arsenal, obviously,
and they barely bought anyone, right? Like in the like last summer. So it was pretty much just Klopp's team.
Yeah, exactly. The only thing he did was put Gravenberch as like the CDM for the team, right? And that's one change you had to make in a team. So you're essentially like, boys, just go do what you've been doing, is what he said. Um, and that's the other problem, right? Because I mean, again, I'm gonna give you guys another hot take because Rishi talked about Salah, but I think if Salah played for United and had the same form that Liverpool did, and he helped us, win the league and all that, I think he would be considered one of our greatest right wingers of all time, even above Ronaldo, because Ronaldo won
I mean, Van
the Ballon.
Persie
Yeah,
was there for like one season basically, and he's still like revered.
yeah.
And Salah's done what Van Persie's done for like 3 seasons basically.
Oh, more than that, more
So
than that. He's been consistent since, I would say, Klopp's second season, all the way till
probably,
now,
yeah.
and even now he's in one of the best shapes of his life. Like he's just been excellent. And I feel
He would be
like,
among the greats, definitely.
yeah, absolutely. And when people say which United player gets into the the best United teams of all time, Salah would definitely be up there if he played for us. So Liverpool fans
Yes.
just being a bunch of idiots, honestly, if they're talking shit about Salah, because you have the last season's league just because of him. You probably have some other leagues just because of him. In fact, some league titles that you guys lost, you lost because Salah went to AFCON. So let's not be silly with our takes. Anyways, guys, we've been live for a while. When you spend 15 minutes talking about Liverpool, it's time to call it quits. But
Probably.
thank you guys so much for joining. Finn,
I
pleasure chatting
just
with you for a
have,
long
I
time.
have, I'm sorry if I can just introduce a quick topic for a couple of minutes. Something I heard today
Okay.
is that I don't know, maybe you guys discussed this on the stream today. So forgive me if I'm a little late on this.
Mm-hmm.
But I heard that we might go in for Ter Stegen in
Why?
January. Yeah, Ter Stegen as like a senior goalie, like a backup and someone to mentor Lammens. So I just wanted to get your takes on it because Lammens was the topic of the day today. So I just thought I'll get your takes on it.
So
A
for
bit
me,
weird.
it is a little weird. I think getting Ter Stegen in through the door. First of all, is he gonna take a pay cut? Because if we're gonna get Ter Stegen, why didn't we just go for Emi Martinez? Um, and I think if we get him in January, we have to sell Bayindir, or we have to sell Onana, but Onana is not going to be sold till the summer. So it's just a little bit of it doesn't really make sense to me. But again, I'm not going to say no to an experienced goalkeeper in the goalkeeping camp.
I don't really think of any other scenarios where a team's bought a keeper just to mentor the young goalkeeper. I'm not sure if that's ever been done.
Yeah, and what is
Just
Tom
seems a
Heaton
little
doing? What is Tom Heaton doing?
seems a little strange. Yeah, I think I don't think we need like any sort of teacher for Lammens. I think Tom Heaton should be enough. And honestly, just playing the games will probably teach him more than
Yeah.
Ter
Also,
Stegen ever
just
could.
just get him. When he goes for international duty with Belgium, just get him to have a few conversations with Courtois. Like, I think that's good enough for me.
Also, don't we have like goalkeeping coaches at the club just for this? Isn't that like the job?
Yeah, yeah. Rishi, what do you think?
Seems kind of weird.
Should we get Ter Stegen? You told us about the story, but what are your thoughts?
See, from what I've seen of Ter Stegen in the last couple of seasons, he's had quite a few howlers. He's not the same goalie that won a treble with Barcelona. Uh, he's had a lot of injury issues. So y'all see, on the one hand, I see the appeal of getting another goalie. I guess what I'm saying is we haven't really seen enough of Lommans yet, right? Because we don't know whether he's the young upstart goalie or whether he's the guy who needs like a season under a pro, or a couple of seasons under a pro being the number two. For better or for worse, he's been thrust into the spotlight. So I guess in a roundabout way, I'm asking the question: do we really need like a pro goalkeeper that can come in and fight for the number one position with Lammens, or are we confident enough in what we've seen? Because I like most of the game, but again, the thing that's stuck in my head is what if he had got that red card, right?
I think so, Rishi. First of all, we have been on the wrong end of a lot of 50-50s not going our way, right? Just in the game before, in the Brentford game, that should have been a red card. That was a stone cold red card for Brentford when he pulled back Mbumo. And I think the goalkeepers, PGMOL came out and said that, yeah, they made a mistake, right? So we have been on the bad
Not
end
the
of
first
that.
time.
I think it was about time that we got one going our way. So I'm just gonna, if I find a $20 bill on the street, I'm not gonna say, after I've been down on my luck for years and years, I'm not gonna say, oh, maybe somebody really needed this. I'm just gonna say, okay, you know what, this is my day.
Right, fair enough. Fair point.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair
So
point. Fair point. But yeah, I get what you're saying. But again, my point was that what if the luck hadn't gone our way? What if you picked up the $20 note and then you were put in jail for it, for theft, for no fault of yours?
yeah,
Anyways, I'm kind of hopeful about Lomans because there's a lot of hype around him. There seems to be a lot of trust within the squad also, and
Well, there's an
just
easy game
let's
coming up,
see.
so you should be fine.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, only
No, no
the
pressure.
biggest match of the season.
Well, he gets the only sad thing is he doesn't get to see Virgil van Dijk twerking because he's gonna be far away from him. When we're taking those long shots. But yeah, at least we'll get to see it, right? I just want Bruno to, or whoever the most head loss player in our team is, that oh yeah, Dallo. I wish Dallo takes a long shot and just smacks Van Dijk in his in his backside. That would be
It's so funny
amazing
how
to
he just
watch.
fucking pedals back with with the attacker all the time, just so he can keep the "I've never
Yeah,
been run past" record,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
then and then the attacker just shoots, and you can see,
You
Yeah,
know,
and you end
he's
up
the
looking
most
like like an absolute
individual
fucking.
defender I've ever seen. The most individual defender. He's not looking for the game state. He's not looking at what's good for the team. He's just looking at what can I do to be the best defender in the world at this moment.
yeah.
We're somehow talking about Liverpool again.
Yeah, yeah. But honestly, last thing I'll say on Van Dyke is the what pisses me off is the ex-United players are so quick to shove their head up his ass that it just pisses me off. Because dude, you're looking at Rio, like compare the accomplishments of Rio and Vidic. Like Vidic was Premier League player of the season twice, right? And no other central defender has done that. I think even John Terry hasn't done it, but maybe I'm wrong on that. But he was the only central defender to win Premier League Player of the Season twice in his career. And has Van Dijk ever done that? No, he hasn't. And how many titles has Van Dijk won? One Premier League, or two Premier Leagues and one Champions League.
And one of
Vidic
them,
did that as well. Vidic did more than
and one
that.
of them
Rio
in the
did more than
COVID
that.
season.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know why everyone's so quick to say that he's the greatest, defender in Premier League history. Like, guys, just take a beat.
Just really, really good PR. I'm afraid that's
Yeah,
honestly about it.
exactly. Anyways, guys, a great call today. This was more for me than anything else. So I appreciate you guys, spending some time with me. Great to chat some footy, and I'll see you guys again on Thursday. For everyone that's watching live, I'm gonna be doing some transfer options, scouting some players and discussing who we should be getting in January. So if you have some thoughts on that, put your thoughts in the comments down below, and I'll take a look. But Rishi, Finn, you guys have been legends today. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Andy.
Yes.
All right. For you guys watching, great show today. Thank you for staying with us.